Connecting now. So once it's connected, you can see, you can stand now.
Okay.
Preparing the live stream. So yeah, it's going in, it's loading now. Okay, so we are in. So now.
All right. Good evening, family. Welcome to Maintaining Community in the Midst of Social Distancing, the virtual village. My name is David Banks. I'm the president and CEO of the Eagle Academy Foundation. And we've got two very special guests who are here with me tonight. And I want to introduce them to you. First of all, we have Ms. Tira Vaughn. She is the parent coordinator from the Eagle Academy for Young Men of Southeast Queens. Good evening, Ms. Vaughn.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, we're doing all right, just under the circumstances, making do as best we can, and with part of the conversation we're going to be having. And also want to welcome in Mr. Rashad Meade. Principal Rashad Meade is the founding principal of the Eagle Academy for Young Men of Ocean Hill in Brooklyn. He's the longest tenured Eagle Academy principal. And I'm just thrilled that he's here with us today to share not only his experience as principal of the school and what he's doing under these circumstances, but also both Rashad Meade and Tira Vaughn here to share about what it's like parenting during this crisis. So good evening, Rashad.
Good evening, Mr. Banks. How you doing, sir?
Good. It's good to see you, and we're thankful that you both are here and could take the time to join us. I know you got a lot of stuff going on in your own homes, but I just wanted to thank you so very much. The reason why we are doing this evening is because in the midst of this pandemic, this COVID-19 crisis, which has shut down our school system, which has essentially shut down our society, we are facing some very difficult challenges and an uncertain future. And in light of that, a lot of our parents are struggling. They're on lockdown and in many ways very stressed out. Not everybody, but a lot of people are. A lot of people are suffering deaths in their families and people who are sick. And we are prayerful for our community and for all of our people. And so I was asked repeatedly over the last few weeks to go online, to share a message, to say something to, perhaps provide a level of support for our parents, not just our parents at the Eagle Academy, but parents more broadly who are struggling to figure out how to deal with this pandemic. And so it's certainly my pleasure to be here with you to begin that process. For those of you who are watching now on Facebook Live who would like to ask a question, we're inviting you to ask a question, submit a question. We'll be fielding those questions and doing our best to try to answer as many as we possibly can. So please be sure to do that, and we'll be looking at those right now. So, but to get things started, I wanted to lead off with Principal Meade. And I'd like for you to just share with us, Principal Meade, just what life has been like for you since the school came to a close, in the sense of the kids coming to school every day. What is it like now being the principal, and what is the work that is happening in your school and with your teachers and the connection with your parents? Why don't we start with that?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. It's been a big adjustment for us all. Our schools, and not just Eagle schools, our schools in general, were not designed to be virtual, and maintaining a level of family and community in a virtual space is a challenge, but it requires a lot of effort, but it's required. Our families and our young men, they depend on us for so much more than just, the education we provide. They depend on us to provide that sense of comfort, especially in some of these trying times. Our boys, and students in general, school is a safe haven for most of them. And to not have, physical access to it, required us to take our mission virtual. And it's been an adjustment, But I think we've tried our best to maintain that family feel and that close connection. And that's obviously done through multiple, online sessions and these virtual meetings with our parents. We had a phenomenal virtual parent meeting last night where we had over 250 parents just happy to see one another and just keep that level of connection, there as a school.
Tell me also, just Principal Meade, and just in terms of your connection, just with your students.
Mhm.
How many students do you have at the school? And then I know it's from grade 6 through 12, but what is that like for the students on a daily basis? What is it like for a 6th grader? What is it like for a 10th grader as they are connecting with you virtually? What does that look like?
So every day we have remote learning taking place. We were able to kind of hit the ground running and set up, Google Classrooms in all of our content areas, electives included. And it's been, a challenge to kind of get used to, navigating some of these platforms and getting much needed technology in the hands of our young men. But on a typical day, they're in class every day, from 8 o'clock till 2, 3 o'clock. And we also realize there's a need to connect with the young men to help them process this in a non-traditional way. So we have our virtual town halls. We had 3 of them so far. One of them was talking to our senior class who, they're going through a lot. There's a lot to process. You look so much forward to, walking across that stage and celebrating and having that graduation victory lap where someone has to drag you to class and do your work. That senioritis, which is a very real phenomena. Like they wanted their senioritis time. And this moment kind of took that away from them a little bit. So that's a lot for kids to process. So sometimes hearing from us, in a similar forum where, we open it up, give them some words of encouragement, but also allow them to ask questions and have direct access to us. So, my boys, know how to get in contact with the people in our building that are close to them, and maintaining that connection is it requires effort, but we're going to get through this, but we have to get through this whole, and keeping that relationship close is very, very important to us.
Absolutely. Ms. Vaughn, so you have been a parent of a young man from Eagle Academy. You've got, I think, 3 children,
I do.
varying ages, right? But tell me before we get to that about your family, tell me about your experience now at Eagle Queens and how life is so much different now, particularly through the prism of your parents, because you're the one who works primarily with parents. What are the parents going through now? What are you hearing in light of this change?
So I'm hearing just a lot of parents are frustrated. They are not used to the Google Classroom. So it's new, right? This is a new normal for everyone. So they're a little frustrated with kind of getting the hang of Google Classroom, and also having access. Our main office with Ms. Crawford, Ms. Trailer, and myself, they're used to seeing us all the time and having that access, and they're really missing us, actually.
Mhm.
And I do have a number in which they can reach out to me, which they do on a daily basis. They can text me as well. I tell them, call anytime. I might not answer anytime, but I'm going to get back to you. You can text anytime. So they're missing that access. They're missing really that village that Eagle offers. We're not just a school, we're actually an Eagle family. So our scholars are missing that. Our parents are missing that. And like Mr. Meade, our scholars are able to kind of reach out to those who they most connect with and kind of get that support from them as they're going through this new normal.
Sure. Principal Meade, now you're also serving as, you're a dad, right? You and your wife have two sons, right?
Son and a daughter.
Son and daughter. I'm sorry. Tell us about what are their names and how old are they and what is life like for you now, being home every day, all day? Tell us a little bit of what life is like as parent, Rashad Meade.
Yeah, every day, all day. Every day, all day. So I have a 10-year-old son and I have an 8-year-old daughter, and they actually turned 10 and 8. They're 2 days apart, during this period of time, this pandemic. So just managing, the adjustment that they had to make, and, as elementary school students, you know, the birthday is an event. That's something that they count down towards, you know, the whole year. And we had to have a virtual, you know, birthday where we almost did drive-by hugs amongst their grandparents. So getting our kids used to, you know, these conditions and explaining to them in a kid-friendly way, you know, how to process this has been something that I had to really give a lot of consideration and thought to. How much do you share with children? You know, because the reality is they process things differently.
Yes.
They're missing their friends. They're missing the community that, you know, they're so used to and accustomed to. And to have a second grade child, you know, log on and, you know, go to her Google Classroom and complete work independently. And my son is doing the same thing, has been a tremendous adjustment. And it's been an adjustment for me as well. You know, I'm a hands-on father, of course, but managing that and, you know, getting them up on time and making sure that they still brush their teeth and can't wear your pajamas all day. And I have to tell my son, you have to put on a shirt and put on socks.
Yes.
Like, you're about to get on a virtual meeting, you know, make sure you position yourself in the house so that people are not looking around too much and present the best us, you know. So these are new conversations that, you know, we have to have, you know, in this current climate. And it's been a learning experience for us all, but it's also been eye-opening because, you know, I'm front lines and helping them manage their work. So I'm seeing some of the academic challenges my own kids have. You know, and as a school leader and an educator, you know, I assumed I knew a lot, but now I do because I'm right there over their shoulder while they're doing their work.
Wow. Wow. And are you communicating at all yourself with their teachers through this virtual experience as well? Or are you just kind of behind the scenes?
I mean, absolutely. I'm right there. And, you know, sometimes I'm that parent with the excuse. Like I'll log on to my daughter's account and I'll see a bunch of missing assignments and, you know, I'm sorry, Mr. Hafner. Like that's what I have to say, you know, and not to be hypocritical, but sometimes it's hard to manage all of the work that they have. And, you know, it's my job as a parent to make sure that I stay on top of my children and ensure that they are still continuing to learn. And, you know, it's a partnership because the teachers work very, very hard in this virtual world to grade and assign assignments that the kids can complete independently. You know, it is my job as a parent to make sure that my kids are completing the work, you know, as best that they can, you know, with my support and sometimes without my support.
So it got to be very challenging, right? So it's not just helping your child with their work and your children with their work, but trying to do that while you are also working and you got a whole school to manage. So I can only imagine just how challenging it is. That's why I did my child rearing early and got it out the way before this pandemic hit. Let me shift over to Ms. Vaughn and just ask you, like, same thing, like, what does it look like for you? Now, your children are a little bit older, right? And so different experiences. What does that look like?
So I have two in high school and I have one college student. So the two in high school, I'm still managing my emails from work and then managing communication from their teachers, right? Because you have to kind of carve out a little bit of time, of course, you have to carve out time to do your work and then check the emails that the teachers send or check their assignments and make sure that they're done. So even though they're a little older, you still want to stay on top of it because this is such a critical time with the remote learning. You know, teachers are definitely grading the work and expecting the work to be done. And so you have to stay on top of that because it can be easy for them to kind of slip, right? So you want to stay on top of it. Same thing with Mr. Meade, you want to kind of get them up and try to have them on some type of schedule. It's much easier with the girl than it is with the two boys. So, you know, she actually gets up and gets dressed and she follows her school schedule. She takes her lunch like she typically would when she was at school. So she gets dressed in the whole 9 yards. The boys, a little different, a lot different, I should say, you know, and just, you know, managing cooking, right? So you're doing a lot more cooking, right? Because you're in the house a lot more. And the refrigerator seems to empty out a lot more, definitely. You know, but it's okay. It's interesting. And you know, explaining what's going on to them. You know, they're kind of cooped up, right? They're home, especially the one from college. His freshman year has been interrupted. You know,
Right.
there's nothing like college campus in the spring. And
Right.
he's not going to be able to experience that. And he's not able to really visit with his friends in person. So, you know, it's kind of interrupted his freshman year and he's feeling a way about it.
Sure.
The other two they're doing pretty good, but it's rough. It's different. It's varying degrees for everyone.
You know, there's a lot of distress that I think a lot of our kids are feeling, particularly those who are maybe a first year of college, or more importantly, if you were in your senior year of high school,
Right.
right? Or even maybe in the 8th grade and you're getting ready to go to a high school the following year, that just so abruptly everything ended. I think a lot about the students who were in their senior year and what does that mean for them, right? Rashad, any ideas, Principal Meade, around just thoughts around what could potentially happen, you know, for those, particularly the seniors who are going to miss out this time around? That ideas that schools could be thinking about. There are a lot of people who are online here now watching. They're not all Eagle parents. They're connected to lots of other schools. We've got Assemblywoman Alicia Hyman, who's one of our biggest supporters of Eagle Academy out in Southeast Queens.
Yes, she is.
She's on, right? She's connected to all the schools in Southeast Queens. What's a bit of advice, Principal Meade, that we could give for the schools that are really struggling to figure out how to help recapture some magical moments for our seniors?
And that's something that, you know, with the word coming down on Saturday that, you know, schools were officially going to be physically closed for the remainder of the school year. You know, that's something that we're thinking about right now, because, you know, just yesterday we had a conversation with about 75% of our senior class. And the question that they had across the board, like, what about prom? What about graduation?
Right.
And we're committed to celebrating those young men. And we have to be very creative in how we do that. But the reality is it's going to be a missed opportunity. So, you know, as much as we can, you know, we try to keep the young men thinking ahead. You know, this is a moment in time that is, you know, it's a historical moment. It's something that we're going to be talking about for decades. And unfortunately, you know, some of the ceremonies were taken away, but just giving our young men an opportunity to kind of use this as fuel going forward.
Right.
And using, you know, just that hope kind of conversation where we say, like, this is a moment in time, but how are you going to come out of this stronger? You know, how are we going to enable you to springboard into a college campus and say, I can really navigate these spaces on my own and learn independently, because I had to do that for the last few months of my senior year.
That's
but
right.
It is a lot for, you know, young men and kids in general, you know, to process and finding unique and creative ways to celebrate them and acknowledge them is crucial. But I think just giving them a platform to connect with the people that they love and have good relationships with in the school, but also as an opportunity to connect together. So just yesterday, you know, we ended the call with a bunch of I love yous. So that's something that people don't really understand about kids, particularly young men of color. But to close out a call with a chorus of young men, you know, 17 to 19, that people wouldn't assume like have those feelings of emotion and expression, to close out a call by saying, you know, I love you, big bro, or I love you guys, I love you. Like, that's important. And providing a space for them to do that as they're going through something tragic is important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So at
Vaughn?
Eagle Queens, we actually had a senior meeting yesterday with Mr. Hall and our COSA, Ms. Gibson, and they are bouncing around ideas on how we can celebrate our seniors as well. Also reminding them that there's still work to be done. They haven't graduated yet, and they still have work that they need to do.
Right.
But we are looking at creative ideas on how to celebrate our young men. We don't know what that looks like right now, but the scholars are missing out, but so are the parents, because this is a big moment for parents as well.
Yeah.
This is a parents' graduation as well, right?
That's right.
I have
That's right.
kind of got you to the 12th grade and you're going to be off to college, and it's a big moment for parents. And they're missing out, and they're feeling, you know, they're feeling away as well. So we want to support them with, you know, doing something creative. We don't know what it looks like yet, but we're definitely working on it.
Sure.
And our young men they're definitely missing the school, and they're definitely, you know, missing out on those senior activities. But we're going to find a creative way to help them celebrate. It's a big event. They're the class of 2020.
That's right. That's right. And crisis causes us to have to be innovative and to figure some things out. And I believe that we will do that. One of our staff members, Rashad Meade, not Rashad, Donald Ruff, yesterday mentioned to me that he had this idea that we could do next year an Eagle-wide graduation. All the Eagle students, all the seniors coming together in one place for one. Now think about it. Many of those young men are going to be off to college. They will have returned home in May. And then in June, we give them a chance to still walk across that stage. So it's an idea. And those are the kinds of ideas that I think schools should really be grappling with, and not just write it off and say, hey, listen, it was a bad situation. Sorry, good luck. I do think that there's opportunities to create a prom down the line, right? Maybe when the kids come home for spring break or something. If we get creative and innovative, I think there are solutions that we can come up with that will help solve for some of these once in a lifetime things that if it doesn't happen, you'll never have another chance. So let's not write it off so quickly. Part of the reason why we decided to do this session here today, and we expect to do several more sessions in the future, is to have real talk. And so again, if those of you who have questions, please submit your questions, and we'll take some questions. But I want to go back to real talk now, real strategies. This is not an Eagle thing at this point. This is just about a parent who's sitting home who said, listen, I've got 5 children, and I'm a single mom. And I'm in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. And it's really, really tough. I know it might be a little challenging for some. It's really tough for me. What advice do we give to that mom, to that dad, that helps them to figure out how to manage this a little better? And when I think about it, I think about routines. So walk me through, each one of you, a little bit about what suggestions you would make as relates to routine. I heard you, Principal Meade, say, tell your son he can't stay in the pajamas all day, right? That's a strategy, because that means something. Tell us what that means, and just give us a couple of other, routines that you have put in place that help you manage the day.
I mean, as best we can, my wife and I, who's also a first responder, she's a registered nurse at Sloan Kettering. As best we can, we try to keep the same school routine. I mean, we pushed it back by an hour or so they can sleep until 8:30 instead of getting up at 7:30. But I think that's crucially important. Brush your teeth, make up your bed, have a designated spot in the house where you get to work. My kids do a phenomenal job of arriving to their computers late, but they always tell me when it's lunchtime or recess. They're never late with that, right? So, but even keeping some semblance of a routine around when we take breaks, when we eat lunch, and also having a routine around, when they have trouble or challenges with their work. Because as you mentioned earlier, a lot of my days is occupied by having, these kind of conferences and just trying to manage a virtual school. So sometimes my kids have to really navigate challenges on their own. So giving them a system, when you get stuck, right, go as far as you can, move to a different assignment, come back to that. I will get to you. I will help you. I think sometimes what happens with our kids, particularly the newness of this platform and someone not directly telling them what to do every single minute, frustration kicks in and they blame the assignment. They blame the teacher, they blame the computer, they blame the internet connection, right? So there has to be a set system. If a child gets stuck and can't be as independent as they need to be, to move away from that assignment for a period of time, go to something else, and then come back when they get some added support. And sometimes that secondary assignment could be, another assignment in their Google Classroom or whatever platform they're using. Other times it's a book. So if you have challenges, give me 10 minutes. I'm on a call right now. I will get to you, I promise. Take your book, read for that period of time, and I will get back to you. We will get through it. We're just managing that, for children, because all of this is new to them as well. Their mode of instruction is the teacher says, and I do. But now it's more independent. So the teacher may not talk back to you. They may record a message, or, they're managing 30, second grade voices on one call. So you got to be a little bit more independent.
That's right. Ms.
So
Vaughn?
I'm going to speak from one of my parents and what she does. She has a daughter in kindergarten and a son in 8th grade. So she falls within that realm of not being able to celebrate her her son's 8th grade year as well.
Right.
And speaking to her today, what she said is, again, she sets up a system and she wakes up her son, her Eagle Scholar, a half an hour before she wakes up her kindergartner. She has a designated space. So that designated space for both of them is actually the dining room. She gives them, you know, kind of like timeouts, kind of to, you know, just relax a little bit, you know, so about 15-minute breaks or so before they continue with their work. And we also have instituted Bell. So our Bell after school program supports our scholars after school is done. They support them academically. They also have karate. So they try to make it normal as possible, right? By bringing in the after school aspect of it. But she set up a routine, and a lot of parents are setting up routines, but a lot of our parents also are first responders. So speaking to another parent, she's had to have her son stay with her sister because she's kind of in and out, and she is worried, of course, of, you know, bringing something back to the home. So she's had to kind of partner with her sister who has children the same age, and they support one another that way. So it's important to have systems in place and to have those supports in place as well.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you both for that. Got a question from our board member, former president of the board, Paul Williams of the Eagle Academy Foundation, who's listening in, watching from New Rochelle. He said, what will the new normal look like for Eagle schools? I haven't heard anyone speaking to mental health for children. It's a really important topic. Anybody want to take a shot at that, kind of what the new normal will look like, and very specifically around just the mental health challenges that a lot of our kids are experiencing in light of all of this pandemic?
Sure. And sometimes for our kids, it's kind of hard to speak freely and open and honestly when all their family members are around them. So across the city, you know, children who receive counseling services are still provided those services, but now it's through a virtual conference or a phone call.
Yes.
So they may not be able to disclose all of their feelings, you know, in a setting that's not as private as they're used to. So ensuring that we have, you know, added opportunities for all of our students to process this once they're back in the building, because initially I think the energy is going to be through the roof in a positive way.
Sure.
So we're doing these phone or video conferences with our kids, and guys who sometimes had challenges coming to the school building can't wait. They want to be in full uniform. They want to be there a half an hour early and stay 2 hours late. They can't wait to get back in the building. But I think, you know, once that initial energy subsides and the work of the year kind of kicks in, because it's going to be one of the more challenging academic years that we've ever had.
That's right.
Our kids are programmed at this point. I'm programmed to be in our buildings, you know, for upwards of 8 to 10 hours a day. And kind of rebuild that stamina is going to take some time, but our kids are also losing out a little bit. You know, it's very hard to maintain a certain level of academic success in a virtual space. So there is going to be some slippage. So for us, definitely making sure that our young men have a platform to process, you know, this experience, but also having systems in place to catch them up academically. Because as a result of this, our boys can't slip, our kids can't slip.
Right.
And our kids are extremely vulnerable, and this experience is not going to be an excuse for long-term failure in life. So making sure that we have the systems to support them, you know, as a school, as an institution, as a system, is going to be everything.
Right. Very good. Yep. You know, the new normal is going to be really something that's got to be reestablished. None of us know exactly what it's going to look like. Right. I feel very strongly that we will not be back in schools this year. We probably will not be back in school this summer. And there's going to be a lot of newness that's created, new strategies, new protocols, new norms. None of us know for sure what this is going to look like for the future. But I do know and feel strongly that what's happening with this technology is not going to be something that was just a strategy we use for COVID. I truly believe going forward that we are going to be taking advantage of this technology. One of the things we've done at the Eagle Foundation is to provide additional Google Chromebooks for our schools who have requested it. From the time this pandemic hit and schools were closed, we've been in regular communication with our school principals. We talk to them almost a daily basis. We bring them all together regularly, so we're constantly sharing strategies and things that we can do to help to learn and support one another. I think in many ways, Principal Meade, you would agree that it has really brought the Eagle family even closer together to recognize truly and to practice more truly that we are really a brotherhood and a sisterhood. Look, that's right. With all of our men and our women educators and everybody. And so we're continuing to work together. We want to continue to hear from our educators across our network. Please sharing with your principals the different ideas that you may have and strategies that we can put in place and how the foundation can continue to be even more supportive of you. But I do want to go back for just a moment to just this idea around what I call the power of the routine. And so for parents who are home with their children, really important that you as parents recognize that you've got to make sure that you are clear and focused and good yourself. You cannot help your children if you're completely stressed out, right? And so it's like when you're in the airplane and they say, put your mask on.
Right.
Put your mask on first. Your natural inclination might be to try to put the mask on your child. Put the mask on yourself first, because what that means is make sure that you have a routine for yourself. We are not on vacation, right? Yeah. School is still ongoing. We need our parents to be good. We need you to be whole. We need you to be healthy. And in order for you to do that, my suggestion to you as a man who raised 4 children myself, I don't have any more babies, but I've got 4 children. They're all college graduates. They're all doing well. I still like them. And I consider myself very blessed, right? Routine. Don't let the day hit you. You've heard it from Ms. Vaughn. You've heard it from Principal Meade. Have a plan for the day. Map out your day. Execute a plan and then work your plan. If you just wake up and just let the day hit you and things are just bouncing off the top of your head, you're going to add more stress to what is already a stressful situation. So plan the time that you and your family are going to have breakfast. Plan lunchtime. Plan dinner time. And then figure out the times to do some other things as a family. Right. This is actually can be, it doesn't have to be a completely stressful situation. You know, how do you get in some daily exercise? People can't pick up and go to the gym anymore, but you can do some jumping jacks and some sit-ups and some push-ups right in the living room and do it together as a family and make it a fun activity. Play some games, play board games, then play some games that, you know, our children can learn from as well. And I'll tell you something else that I think we should all be doing, particularly with our boys. The one thing that our boys, Principal Meade, you'd agree, want to do more than anything else is to play video games. They can't wait to get out of school, and the very first thing they want to do is play NBA 2K, or they want to play Call of Duty or Fortnite or Madden or whatever they are. Check this out as parents. Take some time now and try to learn what some of those games are actually all about. Sit side by side with your son or your daughter. And if you never did it before, this is the time to do it now. Don't just let him go in his room and close his door and then he's at it for hours and he's out of your hair. Figure out how can I want to learn a little bit more about what this Fortnite is all about. Because some of the games really engage a lot of strategy. Right. There's a lot of different things that are involved. And more than anything else, I think it helps you draw a deeper connection with your own children when they see that you are taking the time to even understand the rules of engagement for these games that they can't wait to play. And now they've got it set up where they can put their headphones on and they don't even need you. They can play with their friends wherever they are. You should have a better idea now about what those games really are. What is it that they're so excited about? You might not have had time or interest in it before. Now's the time to do it. Any thoughts at all on that as we're getting closer to our closeout on this session? Any thoughts on that, Ms. Vaughn or Principal Meade?
I think it's a great opportunity to reconnect with your kids, because sometimes, we move fast as adults. We're providing for our children, and that's our number one goal. This is an opportunity to kind of reconnect with your child in a different way. With my son, is more natural, right? We can watch games together. We're big Star Wars fans, so we do that all day, every day. But as a father to a daughter, I watch Master Chef and all the cooking shows and Nailed It. And we engage in those shows in a very different way. And then we go into the kitchen and we try to cook a little bit. And that dedicated time during a time like this gives the kids something else to remember.
Yes.
And as parents, that's something that we really have to impart upon our children. Like, yes, the world around us was going through something very, tragic and life-changing. But within here, we got an opportunity to, make salmon cakes or something tangible like that, right? Remember that time when right? It gives you something else to kind of draw on, as the kids get older and they become a little bit more independent. Creating those moments and being very intentional about creating those moments is an opportunity that we have as parents, and we have to take advantage of it.
That's right.
So it's a perfect time, like you said, to create memories. What I have them doing is once a week, one of the kids has to cook a meal. So I kind of take them through the recipe step by step. And they're pretty proud when they present their meal at dinner time and really want to know, well, how does it taste? How does it taste? Does it taste good? And, it's a good skill for them to have. We've also instituted family movie night. So we'll let them pick one, and then we'll pick one like, Coming to America or School Days, trying to get them to watch those oldies but goodies. So it's a perfect time to create memories. It's a time that they really will not forget.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Those are all gems. And one final question from the audience is for you, Mr. Meade. Children that have IEPs, any recommendations, services for those students?
Sure. And I think this is not only for kids with IEPs, it's for all kids. So the number one roadblock or hindrance for a child to be successful in school, in my opinion, is literacy and being able to read successfully and independently. So a lot of times our kids, when they have, online classes, remote classes, and they run into those challenges, and as the content gets a little bit more challenging as parents, sometimes we struggle to help them out a little bit or have to think a little deeper about something. When that happens, when all else fails, have a book that you read with your child.
Yeah.
And not just telling your child to go in the corner and read, have a book that you're reading with your child.
Yes.
And more than likely, when you go through that process, certain challenges, whether your child is an IEP or not, are going to begin to surface. And as adults, we can help them with their reading. So if your child comes out of this process, this pandemic, a stronger reader, when they step foot in that classroom in September, they will be a stronger student. And this is something that takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes, being on top of them. So having your child read and write on top of all the other assignments, but if they did nothing else, and for the next 4 or 5 months, they just read and wrote something about what they read, when they walk in that building, they'll be able to adapt to any challenge. And if your child can increase a couple of reading levels, under your care, under your guidance, that will be everything.
Absolutely.
Especially for our young men and children that struggle.
Right.
That is great advice, Principal Meade. You've got to our Facebook family and those who tuned in, you've gotten some really great strategies and suggestions that you've heard from people on the front line who are dealing with this situation every single day. I hope you take heed to it. And I hope you also understand and appreciate our teachers now. I bet you appreciate these teachers now. We got parents who are at home who I have heard from who have said, listen, when they open these schools, I am not built for this. I love my child, but I was not prepared to be with him every day, all day. I didn't always come up to school when they called me. When they tell me my child was a bit of a problem, I always defended him. Now you know.
I believe
because reality is hit. And so one of the things that hopefully can emerge from this process is that our parents will have an even greater appreciation for the educators who work with your children each and every day. It is not easy. So when they call you and they say, we need your support, we need you to come to the parent meeting, right, Ms. Vaughn? When the
Yes.
teacher reaches out and says, we need you to come up because we need you to look into the situation that we're having, please, as we go forward, don't any longer disregard that. Really, really important. Last couple of things that I want to say is, for any families who do not have a laptop for their child, you can certainly go on the Department of Education's website. You can be in contact with your parent coordinator. You can be in contact with your school principal. The Department of Education is continuing to roll out thousands and thousands of the Chromebook laptops for everybody. And so by the end of April, they have made a pledge that every student in New York City will have a one for themselves. So it's not like you have 3 children at home and everybody's trying to share one. So that is continuing to happen. Please make sure you do that. Even though we're in the midst of this pandemic, please fill out your census.
Yes.
The census is critically important. That's how we receive a lot of our funding. That is how we get our representation in Congress and the people who fight for funding for us. So making sure that we are filling out that census is really, really important. Please be sure to do that. Over these coming days, the stimulus checks are going to start to arrive at your homes, and we hope that that's going to be helpful to people. Avoid scams. There are a lot of bad people who make their presence known in the middle of crisis, and people will try to take advantage of your families and try to get their hands on that money that's coming as well. So please be on guard for any form of scammers. So don't allow yourself to be duped at all, right? We intend to do this session again next week, same time, 7 o'clock. We're asking that you follow us and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Real David C. Banks, and also follow the Eagle Academy Foundation on Twitter and Instagram at EAF NYC. I want to just leave you all with just these parting words, which is Principal Meade became the principal in 2008, and he framed something that all the Eagle Academy schools use, which is something called CLEAR. And you can ask any Eagle student, and everybody knows CLEAR. It's an acronym that stands for confidence, leadership, effort, academic excellence, and resilience. And I simply want to say that this is the time when the R in CLEAR, resilience, has to be demonstrated right now. There are times when we run into times of deep trouble and crisis where people fall apart and can't function. That's not what it means to be an eagle. Eagles are meant to be able to dig down, to fly above the storm. And so that's what we're calling on all of our children to do. Not just the students who go to Eagle Academy, and not just our students, our parents, our families, our communities. You must remain diligent. You must remain focused. You must remain God-fearing, and you must recognize that this too shall pass, and we're going to emerge better and stronger when it passes. And so as we say at Eagle Academy, the poem Invictus, which is the poem of resilience. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but I'm bowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. That has to live inside of you. This crisis was not brought here to beat us down. It was brought here to bring out about a level of resilience and strength for each and every one of us to overcome, and overcome we will. And so for my Eagle families, we love you. For our broader community and those who tuned in, you are part of our Eagle family as well. We love you. We say stay strong, stay prayed up, and thank you for joining us. And we certainly hope that you will spread the word, follow us, and join us again next week. God bless you, and good evening.
Good evening.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Be safe and be healthy.
Yes.